Hi, welcome to this special Q&A recording of The Boy from Medellin. It's one of the special event titles of the official selection of the 45th Toronto International Film Festival. My name is Diana Sanchez, and I'm the Senior Director of Film here at TIFF. I'm thrilled to be here with Matthew Heineman, Director of The Boy from Medellin. Thank you to our audience for joining us. As an organization still impacted by COVID, we need the support of our audiences so that we can continue to present films to future generations and preserve these diverse and important voices. This film is eligible for the People's Choice Award, and you can vote for your favorite films online as always at tiff.net/vote. I'm really excited to be here with Matthew Heineman. He's an Academy Award nominated and Emmy Award winning filmmaker. He's returning to the festival with The Boy from Medellin after his narrative feature debut, A Private War, played at the festival in 2018. Matthew, thank you so much for joining us today with your new documentary, The Boy from Medellin, about reggaeton superstar J Balvin. Very exciting film. I'm really curious, can you just tell me how you got and how this project came to be?
Sure, yeah. First of all, thank you for having me. It's an honor to be back in this virtual world. I was introduced to Jose through Scooter Braun, his manager. And I think Jose was interested in a doc being made about this homecoming concert, going back to his hometown of Medellin, to have someone document it. I was quite busy at the time, and I was trying to figure out, is this a film that I could do in a way that I'm used to doing, intimate, character-driven. And so I actually met him at a show that he played in New York at Madison Square Garden. And I met him after the show, and we just sat down and spoke for about 45 minutes, an hour, and got to know each other. And he's been very public about his own struggles and battles with mental health. It's something that I've dealt with a bit myself through films that I've made and for other reasons. And so I think we really connected over that. And yeah, just decided that we'd be a good match for each other. And I just wanted to, again, make sure when I spoke to him that he'd allow me to sort of get into his life and capture his life in as intimate a way as possible, and it seemed like he was very open to that.
Right, that really comes through in the film. That intimacy we see. He talks about his own mental health issues. He's very open about the person that he is on stage, that persona, and the difference between J Balvin and Jose, which I think you capture really well. I'm just amazed at how you achieve that intimacy. Because I know that you guys met, you chatted, but there was a lot more to the process, I'm sure.
Yeah, it was sort of, nurturing that relationship. But, unlike other films that I made, this was like a very distinct amount of time. We shot the whole film in 1 week. It was, I wanted to sort of give myself those goalposts of whatever happens in the week leading up to the show is what the film would be. And so we had to figure out what that was. And initially it was this sort of like, this concert film, this sort of lead up to this show, the biggest show of his life. But ultimately when we landed in Medellin, the country was undergoing some of the biggest protests it had seen in decades, over the right-wing president there. And, thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of kids and other people were out in the streets protesting. And so this film took on a whole new meaning as Jose, again, one of the sort of most famous Colombians, many people were looking to him to what his views were, what he thought, would he say something? And I think this is something that he really struggled with. And he, talks in the film, and he talks outside of the film as well a lot about, like, what he is all about is about spreading good vibes in the world and entertaining. And is it his job? Is it the job of an artist take a stand and to stand up and say something. And so this whole week really became an exploration of that idea. He talked to friends, he talked to colleagues, he talked to, many people very close to him about what should he do and what's his role. And so this is sort of the inherent tension, obviously, that plays out in the film.
Absolutely. I was speaking with with the documentary programmer Tom Powers, and this idea that this happened in a week, I find so fascinating because you captured that very week, that very like essential week to the story. So that's why I was wondering, was it a little bit longer? But it wasn't. It was that just naturally happened.
I met him on a Saturday in Mexico City, and I wanted to like fly into Medellin with him. I was able to fly with him to land in Medellin on Sunday morning at 5 a.m. or something, and then the show was the next Saturday. It was a week later. So yeah, I mean, look, as a filmmaker, you sort of pray to the documentary gods that you get these narratives that you wouldn't otherwise predict. And that's what I love about making films, is that you sort of end up with a story you didn't start with. And I knew Jose was an incredible guy. I knew he was very very honest, very loving, very caring. He really, having met some famous people before, like he is what he preaches. He practices what he preaches. He is the same person, talking to the president of Colombia as he would be talking to, a kid on the street. And I think that's one of the most amazing things about him, is that he's a really honest and transparent person. And as I said, he's been very, as we show in the film, he's been very transparent about his own battles with mental health. And so I knew all those things would be inherently part of the film, but again, I didn't know what these other narratives would be.
Yeah, no, it really is incredible because you get to Colombia at this really, really important time, and you just capture the transformation of an artist moving from like those questions that you were referring to. What is my role as an artist? Is the artist role, because he says something about I don't go left or right, I just walk forward, correct?
Yeah.
And the way that that's captured, I find it's very inspiring. So what were your thoughts on what are your thoughts on that role of artistry, because obviously you're in there too as a filmmaker?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I think those are I have my own political beliefs. I'm a progressive, Democrat. I have my own beliefs, but I always try to, keep my own perspective out of my films. I feel like the role of a documentarian is to transmit other people's stories, and that's, I mean, there's many roles of a documentary filmmaker, but I think that is one of them. And I always, taking that very seriously, is I don't find myself that interesting. I don't want to, impart my own beliefs or make films that sort of like reinforce what I think in the world. I think I love exploring different people in different cultures in different places, and I think that it's a long way of saying these are issues that I've struggled with myself. Is what is my role as an artist? Do I have a responsibility to say something? And so I empathized with him. I understood what he was going through. These are things that I think about all the time myself.
And as you were afterwards, you've got all this material and you're constructing the documentary. Like, how did you approach creating that narrative arc? I don't know how much material you shot, but I'm just curious how you started putting that together.
Yeah, I mean, this is the first project I made. Yeah, I think it was the first project I made after making my first narrative film, A Private War, that played at TIFF. And so often in a doc, you spend like months and months and months and months shooting, or slaving away in the edit room, trying to like, how are we going to construct this arc, and what is the arc, and what exactly is the story we're telling. This film just like was like put on put on a platter for me to some degree. I mean, I knew right away, right when we landed in Medellin, and you couldn't drive through the streets because there were, traffic was crazy. Again, thousands of people out protesting. It was so clear that this would be part of the narrative arc of the film, and again, as Jose was really conscious about what his role was, it became clear that that was going to be the arc. Like, what role would he play?
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm interested because, okay, so Jose wanted to have this film made. You guys met. Did he ever, do you know if there was ever like questions of including like a Latin American director or a Colombian director? That question of representation, if you guys discussed that?
Yeah, I mean, I think we connected, as I talked about. We connected over the things that we both have struggled with. I think it was very, very, very important to me to work with a predominantly Colombian crew. Most of our crew in Colombia was from there. My producer's from Colombia, one of our editors from Colombia. So we had a really diverse crew, with some members from New York, and then a very again, predominantly Colombian crew from Medellin and Bogota. And yeah, these are conversations that Jose and I had as well. But I think he felt, based on my background, that and based on sort of the approach that I had, I think we trusted each other. And trust is the bedrock of a documentary, obviously. And so I think that trust was established within the first couple of minutes of meeting each other, and thankfully that trust is what allowed us to make the film again in the way that we were able to.
Yeah, it actually really comes through. My mom's Colombian. I have a very strong ties with Colombia, and I loved how I just felt that your presence there was just so conducive to really highlighting Jose's story and what was happening. I really, really enjoyed the documentary a lot. I found it really powerful. Also, a lot of times when you see Colombia in cinema, no matter what, there's always, the drug cartels are coming up. That's the focus. And I have to say, it was such a pleasure to see this incredible artist and singer and person and human being the subject of a documentary. So I just wanted to thank you for that, because it's a wonderful film. It's a wonderful experience, and you do such a beautiful job of elevating this story and communicating it.
Oh, thank you. I mean, I think that was a huge part of, I think my job as a filmmaker, and obviously what Jose has been doing for years, is trying to sort of change the narrative of what, especially Medellin, which, as he says in the film, is predominantly known as Pablo Escobar and Narcos, is for those things. And so he spent years trying to change the image of Medellin in Colombia. It's a beautiful place with really beautiful people, and I think I wanted to celebrate the city as he has. So I think the city is also a character in the film. The essence of the city, the energy of the city, the beauty of the city, the beauty of the people. And that was really important to me as well, to highlight that in the film.
Yeah, and it all comes beautifully together. And that concert, you can almost feel it, even watching it, from home. You can feel that energy, which was really, really beautiful.
Wow, thank you.
So I wanted to thank you for joining us here at TIFF 2020. It's a very different one. We're hanging out virtually. Hopefully next year we'll be all back in cinemas. But Matthew, thank you so much. And thank you for this wonderful documentary.
Thank you guys. Thanks for having us.